Have you ever wanted to animate one of your sculpts, one of your characters that you've made in ZBrush? Well, I know I have. I make characters every single week when I stream live over on Maxon's live stream. You may have seen me over there. Hi, my name is Shane Olson, and I've been working in the game industry and toy industry for the last 25 years. 10 of those years I spent working at Disney on Disney Infinity, and now I teach how to create stylized characters full-time with my course online. So I've made so many different characters, but usually I just make a bust, just a head, because when I do my live streams, that's pretty much all I have time for. And I usually use Sculptris Pro. I don't use anything fancy like ZRemesher or anything like that. And I always thought, man, how cool would it be to rig some of these characters up, or at least even give them a body or some clothes. And it's a daunting task. It's a lot of work, but recently I've ran across this software by the good folks over at Reallusion called Character Creator. I've just barely scraped the surface, and it's absolutely blowing my mind. And they've integrated it so well with ZBrush that you can send your characters back and forth, and you can give them bodies, rigs, facial animation, motion capture. It goes on and on. You can even render over there with some great lights, some great materials, and it's just fantastic. And I've been having an absolute blast. And today I wanted to show you my process that I've found from taking a bust over to Character Creator, giving it a body, and giving it a rig and some motion. So I go from something that looks like this. This is a bust that I created during my live stream, and I ended up with something like this. And it's fully rigged with a body, with clothes, with animation. Just full facial animation. It's insane. It's really fun, and I can't wait to do this to more of my characters. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to do is we want to prep our ZBrush file to receive the base avatar from Character Creator. Now, there are two ways to rig a character in Character Creator. The first way is using a tool inside of Character Creator called AccuRig. And with that one, that's kind of like an auto rigger. If you've ever used an auto rigger, you basically pick the points and then you say go, and it will build a skeleton, skin the body, and then you have animation, which is really, really fun, really nice. But if you actually use Character Creator's base avatar, then it just blows open the doors to a whole variety of things you can do with it. Like you can add clothing and different materials and just a whole bunch of stuff. It's really, really cool. And so that's what we're going to do. But the limitations are you have to stick with a human character, like a humanoid. And you can use that humanoid base mesh to match it to any character that you have that is a humanoid style character. It's not really monsters or anything like that, but humanoid, like 5 fingers, 5 toes, that kind of thing. Okay? So with this character, the original design is by my good friend Josh Black, and I just wanted to call him out really quick. I'm going to hide that concept art, and we're going to just start with this mesh. And I have a base ruler that I used to use when I would do 3D printing for the Disney Infinity figures, and I have that right here. And it just so happens that it helps us out when we are adjusting the scale between Character Creator and ZBrush. It's really nice. You don't have to use the ruler, but if you want to, I do give this away for free over on my website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com. It's right here on the ruler. And you can use this ruler, and I'll show you how to use it to set up the scale. But before we do that, you'll need to head on over to Reallusion's website and download the Reallusion Hub. This is how you access all of their software. So ZBrush Pose Link, they're both free. You can download them. This is what allows Character Creator to talk to ZBrush, and this is what allows ZBrush to talk to Character Creator. After you get these installed, then hop on over to ZBrush and select your ruler subtool. And then over here, I've mounted my Z plugins over on the left-hand shoulder, and you'll see ZBrush Pose Tools installed right here. And at the very top, you'll see this resize menu right here. okay? And to get this going, what I like to do is grab this slider and just let go of it. And because sometimes it will select a different subtool, and I want to select that ruler subtool again, and then type 200. And the reason why I'm typing 200 is because this ruler is 200 centimeters tall, which is 2 meters. That's why you see 1 meter, 2 meters. It's 200 centimeters. And then when we're all done typing 200, we want to hit resize with, it's very important, with our ruler selected. And it will go through all the subtools, and then it will ask you, do you want to resize it to 200 centimeters? It might say 2 or 20 for you. It just depends on what your original scene size was. And then it'll go through, and how you can check to see if it works is you scroll down here, look at the export scale, and it should say 100 right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And we have our head, we have our ruler. We can hide our ruler. And then we need to do a couple things to get this file ready to receive that base mesh. So it works with GoZ, and you want to go Open Preferences, go down to GoZ right here, and then you want to click this top button that says Import as Subtool. The reason why we want to hit that is because we want to append the character to this current subtool so we can match the mesh to our head. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. And then we want to hit Clear Cache Files just to clear out any extra data that might be hanging around. And so now our file is ready to receive it. So now we're going to go over to Character Creator. And this is the final product. This is like the cooking show final cake. But we're going to go back and we're going to load in a base mesh. So this is a base mesh that I worked with the Reallusion team to create, because usually the base avatar is a realistic character and it has like realistic eyelashes and all sorts of stuff, realistic skin with pores and all of those things that you really don't need for a stylized character. So I asked them if we could make a new one that is a little closer to a stylized character to start with. It'll just save us a lot of time. And that's what this is looking like here. And also we got rid of the alpha on the eyelashes and unfolded them. With the realistic character, they're folded so they get some nice parallaxing. But with stylized characters, we unfold them and get rid of the alpha. You can add an alpha later if you want, by the way. And then these are just some basic eyebrows that we'll be getting rid of because we'll be using the eyebrows that we bring over from ZBrush. But basically, this is our base mesh right here. This will become available very soon. If you want to get this base mesh, you can sign up right now in the description below to get on the waiting list, and you will be notified when this becomes available. Okay, so they're going to make it available to everyone. And then if you look over here, if you click on the scene tab, you can see there's the eyebrows that are by themselves, and then there's all of these CC underscore whatever pieces that will be coming with this character. Okay, so with this, we are going to push it over to ZBrush. So if you have the plugin installed, you'll see this little GoZ ZBrush right here. And if you click this, this dialog will come up. And you'll see this list of all of these parts. And you'll have to have this, I missed a step, you'll have to have the character selected before you hit GoZ. And then you'll see all of this stuff. And then I recommend clicking on this eyelash checkbox, and all that does is that will separate the eyelash geometry away from the body so you can edit it over in ZBrush. You can actually turn on dynamic subdivisions if you want and give it thickness temporarily in ZBrush. But anyway, I like to do that. And then I just turn on a pose, which is this pose that it's in right now. And then you don't have to click on this checkbox right here because we already set up our scene with the ruler. But if you don't have the ruler, and you're using ZBrush, hit resize and you can scale it that way, you can use this instead. Okay, that works just as well. And we're going to click on GoZ and we're going to send that model over here, and it will load in one subtool at a time to scale. You can start to see it come in. Okay, now our base mesh is in here and it's appended. I've also organized my original meshes in a folder, just so I can move them around if I want to. Okay, So you'll see that her head is too low. It's not matching this head. And you can do one of two things. You can move the mesh to match your head, or you can move your head to match the mesh. In this case, I'm going to actually move the body to go down and match where the head is in space. So I'm going to select my gizmo, and there is this transpose all selected subtools right here. But there's a little shortcut that we can do to reverse this, okay? So in this folder, there's this gear, and we can click on this and say transpose set. Okay, and what it'll do is it will hide everything except for what is in that folder, and we can move the head around like this by itself. So this is, if we were going to move the head, this is how we would do it. Or we can invert that selection by holding Control plus Shift and tapping on the background, and that will invert everything. And then we can move the body to match the head, and we can move the gizmo up here. Okay, by holding down Alt, we can just move this gizmo and then zoom on in there. And then we can move this body to match the head. And we can also scale the height if you want. Now, before sending this body over here, there is a step that you can do, which is you can go into the morph adjustments inside of Character Creator and morph the body to look closer to how you would want it to be as far as proportions and stuff like that. And I believe Michael Pavlovich has a really nice video on how to do that if you want to look that up. Okay, and anyway, we can just match this as close as possible. I like to try and match the eye. And just kind of get the scale correct. As close as we can scale the whole thing up and down. So you can see that eye. And then we can move it so the nose kind of matches and the eye is close enough. And then what we do is we're going to move the rest of the mesh around and match that head by hand as close as possible. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing here, but I'm going to show you the technique that I use. And before I get into that, I just wanted to show you that Character Creator has a plugin called Headshot 2 right here. And that is a mesh mapper. And how that works is you take your mesh that you made in ZBrush and you push it into Character Creator, and then you can match that mesh on top of it using very few points and not have to go through this extra process that I'm going to show you now. But if you don't have that plugin, you can just do it by hand like I'm going to show you here. Okay, but that is a really neat plugin and it works quite well. Okay, so basically I want to hide everything except for the head, my original head, and this new mesh. So I'm going to go in here and just hide everything, including the eyes, everything, the mouth, the teeth. It comes with teeth and eyelashes. We don't need any of that stuff. It does have an ambient occlusion for the eye, and it also has a tear line around the eye. It's kind of like an outline. And you don't have to worry about those two things because when we push it back to Character Creator, it will automatically adjust those to the mesh, which is super nice. So we don't have to worry about those. I'm going to hide this eye and this eye occlusion. Now we only have this base mesh right here and my original head. Now it's not quite there as far as how lined up it is, but it's close enough. And now we can just start grabbing our move brush, making sure symmetry is turned on, and then just kind of nudging everything around to match. Okay, like this nose and these lips. I like to just barely peek it outside of the surface. Another thing you can do is turn on transparency so you can see the underlying mesh. And you just get it as close as possible. And then you can see the head is a lot smaller underneath here. So you can just take this and nudge it all around to match. You can even move the head underneath it again if you don't like the alignment as you start to move this stuff around. But that's basically all I do. And once I get to a point where it's really close, you can project portions of it. You can either project the color or the geometry or both. Okay, you just have to be careful when you're projecting the geometry because sometimes it will project, like if the lips are too close to each other, it will project both lips and it will overlap the geometry and get confused. So like in the back of the ear right here, it could project the back of this ear over onto the back of the head and vice versa. So you just got to be careful when you're doing projecting. Same with this eyeball. But essentially you just nudge this all into place to match your mesh underneath. It's really easy and it doesn't take that long. I think it took me about 30 minutes to do this process. And again, headshot is much quicker to do this. But this is kind of fun and relaxing. Just put on some good music and go for it, you know. And then once you're done and you have it the way you like it, then you can move the eyeballs, the brows, the hair, and everything to match this position, okay? So what I mean by that is when you pushed over the avatar, it came with new eyeballs right here, like these eyeballs. And see how they're not lined up? So again, what you can do is you can hide the base mesh, show these eyes, and then line them up. Okay, so you would take the new eyeballs right here, take the gizmo, and center them, turn on symmetry, center it, reset it, and then just kind of center it in there, scale it up, and match it as best as you can. Front to back, look at all sides when you're doing this. And then you can check it later on. Okay? So essentially that's the eyeballs, and they do come with a cornea and everything. And when you push them over there, it looks really, really nice. So then when you're done, you can hide these, and then you can show this one doesn't come with brows, like eyebrows. We're going to be pushing these eyebrows over there and using them. And then it does come with teeth, so you'd have to put the teeth, the tongue, align those inside the mouth. And then you want to align these eyelashes to the eyes. You can show the head like this, see how they're off? And you can show your eyelashes and then match them up. So just push these around and mash them up. One secret with these eyelashes is when you're holding down shift, you can, to smooth this out, you can see it's holding on to that outer edge. It doesn't smooth. So there is a smooth brush called Smooth Cloth. If you choose that smooth brush, it will turn down the Z intensity a lot. It will actually smooth down the edges. So it won't hold on to those edges. So that's a really good way to smooth down these eyelashes and line them up. And then we're going to do kind of a cooking show method here. And we're going to load in what it looks like after I've done all the matchmaking and lined it all up. Okay, so this is actually the new base mesh. You can also subdivide it and do some more projecting. And then you can do some poly painting. So I did a bunch of poly painting to paint her makeup and her whole body, and it looks kind of strange because I painted some ambient occlusion here just into the skin, because I also created a shirt and a skirt inside of ZBrush. I just made a skirt out of a cylinder, and then I actually used the base mesh and I duplicated it and deleted everything that wasn't the base and the top, and then I Z-remeshed it and I made a shirt. And that looks like this and this. So now we have, let me just show you these meshes really quick. So this is what the skirt looks like. It's just a cylinder that's been moved, and then this is the top that's been Z-remeshed. But I started with her body to build that from. And then the base mesh, you can see this is the actual mesh from Character Creator, and it has really nice topology. And again, it's been subdivided. It's okay to subdivide. It's just not okay to weld anything, mirror and weld, or cut or slice or any of that stuff. You have to leave the mesh intact, all the points exactly the correct number, because every dot has a number. And if you mess up that numbering system, it's not going to work. So just be very careful with that. You can move, scale, rotate, do all that as much as you want. Okay. I've also adjusted her hands, and I've adjusted her body to be the proportions that I want this character to have. So I've just smoothed down her arms and her legs to be thinner, and just to kind of match the aesthetic that her face has. And now she has the same hair. I did decimate this hair down and Z-remeshed it, so I can push it over to character creator with, here, I'll show you the wireframe really quick. This is what the wireframe of that hair looks like. You can subdivide over in character creator, or you can use normal map, stuff like that. I'm not going to get into that too much today. This is kind of a high level demo just to show you what's possible. Okay. But now that I have all of this done and lined up, you can see that we have the original hair, the original brows, and I'm not going to push these lashes over there. I'm going to use the lashes that I adjusted down here. Okay. So those lashes, since we split that off of the body, so it's going to come over with the character creator stuff. So what we're going to do is, the best way to do this is to push over the specific parts of your character, get that working, lined up, and then push the rest of everything else over. Okay, so anything that starts with a CC, I actually put this in a folder like this, and I'm going to show all of the CC stuff. And remember, you don't have to line this up and you don't have to line this up. Okay, it's lined up because I already went back over and back again, so it's already lined up, but you don't have to worry about it if it's off. And then I'm going to hide this and hide this. And don't worry about the subdivision levels. You can be on a high resolution subdivision level and it doesn't matter, because it's going to just automatically push it over to the lowest subdivision level before it goes over there. Okay, so I'm gonna hide the brows for a minute, and I'm just gonna select the body. It doesn't matter which one of these you select. And then what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna go back over to character creator and make sure we're good to go. We don't have to have anything selected, it'll just work. Okay, so now that this is ready to go, I'm just going to hit Go Z Visible. Okay, and once I hit Go Z Visible, it's gonna take everything that's visible and push it over to character creator. Okay, so over in character creator, you can see that the new action, instead of create, now it says update. Okay, it's going to update all of these pieces and parts to match and push it into here. The thing it's not going to push in there is the texture. Okay, so we're going to have to do something different with the textures, but it's fun to watch this change to our new proportions. So remember, this was the base toon mesh. And then you can click on Merge All Props and adjust bones to fit the morph. Okay, we're going to select a pose. Again, we don't have to click this because we already set up our scale. I'm just going to hit Update, and it's going to push everything into this body. Okay, so now we have the new proportions. They're quite vastly different. Okay, so now we can look and see how our eyelashes are new, and our shape of our head is new. The shape of the body is all refreshed. It's using the same eyes, but it's using the old eyebrows from the old toon. Now we can click on those eyebrows right here, and we can just hide them or delete them. Either way, we're just gonna do this because we're gonna bring over some more accessories and hair and things and stick it on here to make it work. Okay, but we're gonna test this first. That's why I like to just do the body first and then test it. And this is the beauty of character creator. This is where it starts to blow your mind, because this is rigged. This is fully rigged. It's got UVs, it's got skin weights, the whole thing. It has a whole bone system. If you use their base avatar, their base mesh, you get it all for free, and it feels like cheating, because this used to take so much time and so much effort. And I'm just going to tell you that this base mesh is built on Autodesk's full body FKIK rig, if you know what that is. Okay, what that means is you get the benefit of using that rig in other software. So if you're wondering, can I push this to Unreal? Can I push this to Unity or Maya or wherever? The answer is yes, because it's using that rig. Really, really smart. And you can also push it over to Motion Builder. It's really, really cool. Okay, so let's test out the motions. If you notice down here, there's this motion button. We're going to click on here, and there's a whole list of different motions we can try. So I'm going to click on this female idol one just for fun and load that up, and all of a sudden, boom, she's rigged and has motion. So we'll push spacebar to play, and she's just kind of leaning and looking around, and it's just it's crazy to me that's a thing. Okay, so if you want to go back to the A pose, you just hit this remove. We'll just hit the arrow down, remove, and click on this restore bind pose. And then it just goes back here. You don't need to do this, by the way. You can just push your stuff over while it has animation on, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. But me being old school, I just like to have it in the A pose when I push stuff over. So we're going to go back to ZBrush, and we're going to select our new parts and pieces that we want to send over. So let's hide all the CC stuff, and we're going to send over the hair, the brows, and then the top and the skirt. So I'm going to just select the skirt so we can just see these things. So we got the hair, the brows, the top, and the skirt, and everything else is already over there. Okay, I'm just double checking to make sure we got our lashes. Okay, so now, again, all we have to do is hit Go Z Visible. So Go Z Visible. Send that over. Now we'll get a new dialog box over in Character Creator, and you'll see that it doesn't say Update, it says Create, okay? But there's two things that we need to do with two of these because they're cloth. Click on these and change this to cloth, okay? And change this one to cloth. And then brows, just make that an accessory, and the hair, make it an accessory. Let's see, I can bring that out so you can see accessory, accessory, cloth, cloth. And you can change them once you push it in here. You don't have to really care about this too much, but it does help, okay? We can say merge all props, hit update, and you'll see it update here. And boom, now we have it. Okay, and we can zoom out, and you'll notice that we don't have our materials on anything. It's using the base skin color of our Toon Base, and then we don't have any textures on any of these new pieces. Okay, so what we can do is we can click on, like, say, the hair, and you can either load in a new material if you've made a material in ZBrush. I'm going to show you how to do that in a little bit. And basically, this base color, if you click on this base color and double click it, you can go load in a texture, okay? Or it comes in with polypaint. So if you have something that has polypaint, all you have to do is come over to the scene and click on this little cube, and it will show polypaint. So we can do that with the brows and the top and the skirt, okay? So now they're all colored. And this is just a background image, by the way. Yours might not have a background image, but this is just an image back there. And you can just get that from the scene. You go to content, scene, background, and you just find them back here under texture. Anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. That's kind of the setup. You can also mess with lights. I'll get into that a little bit later as well. Okay, there's a couple special things that we need to do with the hair and the brows. So with the hair, we're going to click on this, and we're going to go to Modify, and then Attribute. Okay, and over here you'll see this list of things, and right here you can see it says Create Hair, Brows, and Beard. So let's click on that, and it'll ask if we want to reset the facial expression. Just say yes. And then we have the hair selected, so we're going to click on this Base Hair All. But if you have a character with these different types of hair positions, you can select those things. Like if the hairband went behind her ear and up over the head like this, you can select this one. We're just going to select this and hit Apply. Okay, and then it's going to just weight this hair to the head. And then if we select the brows, while this dialog is still up, we can select the brows, and you'll see this little eyebrows right here. Select the eyebrows and hit Apply, and it will skin weight those brows to her brow. Okay, so they'll follow the skin. Okay, so now we can test this motion. Okay, so we'll go to Motion. We can go to Facial Rig, Full Face, and just try it out. Sometimes you have to tune the face, like you have to tune the eyelashes to match the eyelids and things like that. So it's not always perfect right out of the gate. But yep, see when she blinked, her eyelashes didn't quite match. So you can go in and you can tune those by going into the facial editor. Okay, just know that that's possible. But see, all of a sudden she's just looking around. She's fully rigged. If you're wondering what this little green dot is when I'm rotating, I just have a 3D Connection Space Mouse that's also supported by Character Creator. And it's really, really nice to just spin your character around and check it out. And you can do that while she's animating and moving, and it's wild. I love it. I can't get enough of this, I'm telling you. So it's just crazy to me to start with a base mesh that I was just making during a live stream, and now, you know, all of a sudden she's animating and looking around, and she's almost there. A little bit more tweaking and we'll have it. But let me just show you really quickly how you would load in materials. So actually, before that, let's talk about skin weight. So if you bring something in here and the skin weighting is not quite right, it's really easy to adjust. So if I grab her skirt, say her skirt wasn't really, let's try body rig full body, and this will do a full body test. Okay, so she's standing here and she'll do like deep knee bends and it will break her skirt. Okay, like this. See how it's not quite nice. So, let's see, I think you can see this little point right here. And what you want to do is go click the skirt and same place, just click on modify attributes and there's this skin weights tab. Just click on that. And this is a lot like doing skin weights in Maya or Blender or something like that. You'll see there's these twist bones and these leg bones. If you right click on a twist bone, you should see it show up in the weighting. Okay, I got it to show up. So if you right click on the bone, you can see it's like has the skin weighting. And you can go in here and you can also select the bones over here in this list. And you can use the paint brushes and then just do some paint weights, or you can adjust the strength and the weight here by hand, or you can just brush it right here. So that is how you adjust the skin weight of anything that you have that you need to tweak. Okay, so when you're done, you just click on the skin weights. And then to apply materials, you just select the character, the main character, or whichever part that you want to add textures to. And in order to get the textures out of ZBrush, it's really easy. You go over to ZBrush and you select the object that you want to export the materials off of. So I'm going to go to the highest resolution of this body right here, and I want to export these textures. Now, Character Creator's base mesh comes with UDIMs. If you don't know what UDIMs are, they're just a bunch of different UV maps or UV sets. So it's multiple UV sets is what it uses. So ZBrush doesn't support authoring them. So Character Creator's base mesh avatar has UDIMs on it, which means multiple UV sets. And you can't really mess with those UV sets here, but you can export the textures that belong to those UV sets. And how you do that is you go to the multi-map exporter right here, and you select whichever maps you want. But for here, we're just going to select the texture from PolyPaint right here. So it's going to take the PolyPaint that's on here, create new textures, and put them wherever you want. And you just select the size of the maps that you want, and then you just click on Create All Maps. It will ask you where you want to put it, and then you save it somewhere. Just remember where you saved it, and we'll go back to Character Creator. Okay, so now we're back in Character Creator, and we want to click on this Texture tab up top here. And you'll see there's this long list of textures right here. Okay, and this is everything that makes up the body. So if we pop this open and we click on the body, we can see all of the body pieces. So if I select this head, you'll see all the maps that are attributed to this head. And if you want to paint on these textures, there's this button right here that will send your map to your texture editing software like Photoshop or something like that. Okay, so you can double click on this to load it, and I'm just going to load the one I exported earlier right here, and you'll notice that it changed. See that? So if we zoom in here, it now has, you can see where the skin tone changes to right on this neckline right here. Okay, so that is one UDIM right there. Okay, so now I can just go through here and assign each one of these. Like I have the nails and the lashes and everything, all of those baked out of ZBrush, including the eyes, and I can just load those in right in here. Okay, this is another cooking show version. This is after I've done all of the materials. They're all updated and loaded in here. You can see she has all of her materials, and she also has some high heels on. Like, where did those high heels come from? Well, the really cool thing about Character Creator is they have a store. They have a store full of assets. And Character Creator also comes with a whole bunch of assets for free that you can use, including these high heels. And if you use the base mesh avatar to create your characters this way, you can utilize all of those assets, okay? Most of them are realistic character assets, but that's okay. You can load them, you can push them over to ZBrush, make them stylized, change the textures on them or change their shape, make them more stylized, more exaggerated. Push them back here and you can use them on your characters. It's really cool. Where you find those is under content. So content, and then there's these projects. So you can see a bunch of other characters right here. There's different actors. There's even different skin tones. So you can put, it's so robust, it'll blow your mind. Okay, there's even makeup and hair and cloth. If you click into any of these folders, you can actually start to see some of the thumbnails. It'll show you what it would put on your character. See, they're for more realistic stuff, but they're there. There's cloth, shoes. Lo and behold, there's the high heels right here, okay? All I did to make those high heels go on her is just click, drag, and drop into the scene, and it just stuck them right on there. So you can also do custom ones right here if you want to load in your own and then save them. Like if I wanted to save her hair, I could click on the hair and hit save right down here, and it would save it to your custom area. Okay. So there's also lights you can add. There's textures and backgrounds and all sorts of stuff. It's just, it gets deep. And what's really nice about this is it's a real-time PBR renderer, like, you know, Eevee or Marmoset Toolbag or something like that. Or even like Unreal, it will render your characters out so you can display them. And you don't have to take them into those other programs. It's all right here, and you can render them and adjust the lights. You can adjust the subsurface scattering. You can adjust the materials. You can make her lips more glossy by going into the roughness map and painting in the roughness so her lips are shiny. You can already see that her eyeballs are shiny right here, but it's making the shadow happen right here and the background image. It's just really, really nice. And so this yellow light right here is in there. And how you can access these things that are already in here is go to Scene, and you can see here's the character and all the props and everything. And then you go down to, there's other props like this shadow catcher, and you can adjust that shadow catcher. And everything you can adjust is over under Modify Attribute, and you can start messing with things over here. Okay. And you can also grab, there's a direct light, and there's a global illumination anchor, so you can do global illumination over here. Once you select one of these lights, you can click on this rotate, and you can rotate the light. See how I'm rotating this rim light around the edge of her right here. Okay, and you can also adjust the shadows. If I zoom out, you can go down here and you can adjust the shadow catchers on the floor. And again, like I said, you can drag in motions onto her. It's just absolutely unlimited, and it blows my mind. It's so much fun. And once again, I can't wait to grab more of my characters and do this exact same workflow with them, just like I did with her. And once you have this scene set up, you can just bring characters right in here and have the same lighting, the same atmosphere, everything like that. It even has volumetric lighting if you want. Like, it's kind of like a foggy light if you want to do that. Like I said, subsurface scattering. And there's so many additional plugins that you can use. There's one called Face Tools that allows you to go into each of the morph targets for her expressions and really push them big. And you do that over in ZBrush. Michael Pavlovich also has a video on that, and so does Reallusion. They have some tutorials on how to set that up, and it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. And another thing you can do is you can drive her animation with your iPhone. So you can have it map your face and look into the iPhone and have her talk. I guess with your voice, if I have this deep voice, but and you can also do it with video and make her sing. So if you had a video of, say, a lady singing, you can map her face from that video and lip sync your model to that music, that sound. It's so much fun. And like I said, the geometry of the mesh is really, really robust. You can push it quite far before it starts to stretch. And so any humanoid character, you can really get away with a lot and bring your characters to life. It's so amazing. Thank you, everybody, for watching me today. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have an absolute blast setting up your characters with Character Creator. Again, my name is Shane Olson, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.